Ultimate Spider-Man is hunted by Kraven this month in the ongoing monthly saga of Ultimate Spider-Man. And this is, in a lot of ways, the issue that we were all waiting for. And we are going to have a lot to say in this momentous episode or issue of Ultimate Spider-Man and, of course, of Pals Pools. We have Cale.
What's up? Hot dogs.
We've got Tyler.
And boy, my arm's tired.
Okay. And I'm Sean. Thank you for being here, whether you were with us live or in the future. Appreciate you all hanging out with us. And already we've got a super chat in from Matt Fisher dropping $4.99. And he says ASM had no ASM in it. Still not as bad as last week. Normal Peter is the worst person ever. Well, I am a couple of weeks behind, or yeah, a couple of issues behind on ASM, so I don't know what you're talking about. But needless to say, I'm not surprised that there's no Spider-Man in Spider-Man.
It was a point deaths issue again, Sean. Another one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Yeah. Jonathan Chu says, wow, you guys read these quick. Well, tomorrow, Tyler and I are going to be appearing on the Near Mint Condition YouTube channel for their Evergreen stream. And we didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So we pushed Pals Pulls back a day, forward a day, I guess. And that requires us to get a whole bunch of reading done really quickly. So you're welcome.
Really quickly. I had to catch up on Absolute Wonder Woman, and I almost caught up on Superman.
Yeah, I had to do some catching up on Superman as well because I got to this newest issue and I'm like, wait a minute. And I realized I didn't read the previous one. But yeah.
Speaking of Superman, Lex Luthor is with us. He misspelled his last name, but he did make the time to join us tonight. That's very cool of you, Lex. Thank you.
I think he's just incognito. That's just he's trying to trick us to think it's not him. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. We've got six
Count them.
of this week's biggest comic book releases. We've got Ultimate Spider-Man number 14. We have the Red Hulk number 1. We've got.
Do we have Red Hulk number 1?
Do we not? Didn't it win the poll?
No, it won Green Lantern
no,
one.
Man. No, my man. I thought he was just starting to. Thought he was bugging, starting to show off his stack.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness!
Did you read it?
I had a tremendous brain fart. Hell no! But
okay.
by the time we have to talk about that book, I guarantee you I will have read it. I tell you that. Okay, so we don't have Red Hulk, so we can toss that for now. We won't be talking about that. We will instead, of course, be talking about Absolute Wonder Woman number 5. Look at this beautiful cover. I had to snap this up.
Oh, the Homare variant. Yeah, I like that one a lot. It's great.
She looks like a Final Fantasy character.
It looks like that book you don't read. Monstrous?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It looks like Sana Takeda art. Yeah, totally. I see that. We've also got Superman number 23 on the docket. Justice League Unlimited number 4, Green Lantern number 20, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 7, the kickoff of the newest arc there. So we've got a lot of good books to get into, and we're going to kick things off with Ultimate Spider-Man number 14, written by Jonathan Hickman, with art by Marco Cicchetto. Thankfully, he makes his return this week. We've also got Matt Wilson on the colors, always on the job for this book. And wrapping up the creative team, we have Corey Pettit on the letters. So where we left off, Kraven was hunting Peter and Harry. And this is a perilous situation because they are the ultimate version of the Savage Land, being hunted by a psycho with guns. And of course, there are Moloids and all kinds of dinosaurs and craziness that you would expect from the Savage Land going on. Of course, Peter always has that thing on him, right? He is always Spider-Man, whether he has a suit on or not. Harry is only powerful when he's suited up. And of course, he doesn't have the Green Goblin suit on him. So this is really just Peter versus Kraven in the sense of who's going to be able to, fight when push comes to shove. And so we get a lot of that, and then interspersed we see Richard Parker, that being Peter and MJ's son, meeting the Black Cat and their interaction, which was fun. There is a massive spoiler in this issue. If you haven't read it and you really care, you're not going to want to listen to this review. And we're not going to talk about that right away, but I just want you to know that it will come up, so be prepared. What did you guys think of this issue?
Do we stop doing the month format? Like the issue starts
No.
off, it kicks off with Black Cat and Richard Parker meeting each other, which is a direct continuation of last issue. Like it's that same interaction. Unless they just deuced out, they said, "All right, see you next time," and they waited a month, and then they had their meet cute.
They've been chasing each other for a month.
I don't. Yeah, I think this is a direct continuation of that. At least that scene, which is like, all right, if you're gonna ditch the storytelling trope that we don't like, just ditch it altogether. Because I don't like that month to month format. I think it works here for the story that the A plot with Peter and Harry, because they are in the situation where they're marooned in the Savage Land.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. I like this issue though. I thought it was a pretty good issue. I think it's really good to have Chichetto on art. There are some Spider-Man scenes in here where Peter is doing these spider sense jumps over bullets and all that stuff. And it's really, really well done. Sean, what's that effect that Kelly Thompson likes using?
The DeLuca effect.
DeLuca effect. Yes, yes. That's used a couple times here to represent the movement that Peter's doing. I think it's really good. I think Peter kind of being almost catatonic because he's so focused on his family is interesting. And I really like the dilemma with Richard Parker just being like, Black Cat, who's also like 16 apparently. He just unmasked immediately. I think there's some good storytelling here going on, and I like that. But I want to hear what you guys think before we get to the actual meat of the book.
I like that Peter here is finally taking some action. He's finally, being semi-proactive. He's got his priorities, and now they're in jeopardy. He's got to step up, and I feel like we haven't really seen that yet. So that was refreshing. Although after the spoiler, in the come down from the spoiler, like there are things that are like a bit wrap uppy that just kind of threw me for what we just went through. I don't know. I actually found myself more interested in what was going on with Richard and Felicia.
Me too,
I thought
actually.
that was
Yeah.
I thought that was way more interesting.
Speak on it.
It's just it's a different angle, and I think it's that different so they Felicia thinks that he is Spider-Man, and he takes off his mask and he says, "Whoa, hey, no, that's not me." And then they just sit and talk and watch the sunset, and they compare notes with their lives and everything, and they I guess are friends now. I don't know. I felt like that was a really interesting pivot for younger characters like that.
It's also no mistake that they're this, very similar age. It it lends itself to the theory that some people have that the big twist of Ultimate Spider-Man is that Peter will die or Peter will retire, very, very early in, and that his son will be Spider-Man, and that Peter will be a mentor to him. And so the idea that we're now seeing characters introduced who are more for Richard, they're more supporting characters for Richard than they are Peter, is interesting to me. He's got his own suit now, um, which he is sort of bonding with, so to speak. And now he's got his first supporting character. I think there's some validity to that. He doesn't have that suit for no reason. This isn't going away anytime soon, I don't think.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading some of the comments here about some
Yeah.
theories. People are theorizing pretty heavily in the comments here, which I think that
Un-
means there's a good book if people have questions and there's mysteries involved.
Uncanny Suit says it's nice Black Cat didn't projectile vomit on anyone this time around. That's a moment that stuck with me from Ultimate Spider-Man for the many a years it's been out.
Bendis's run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, didn't you? Yeah. So she, Felicia, in the Bendis original Bendis run, is only in it for two, maybe three issues. And they start to kind of flirt and have like a thing. And Peter takes his mask off and she goes, "Oh my God, how old are you?" And he goes, 15 or whatever. And she immediately pukes.
All right, let's just get into the spoiler. Um, so Peter and Harry are being chased through the jungle by Kraven, and he's insane. They get some help pretty quickly from Mole Man, who gives them he allows them to use a hidden passageway or whatever, the tunnels. And when they come upon the exit, they see that Kraven has killed all the Moloids that were there. Um, and so he knew where they were. And he comes out with this crazy Gatling gun and he starts blasting at them. The guy has miserable aim. I mean, I get Peter not getting shot, but Harry, that is just nuts. Um, they have a good fight, and Peter gets the upper hand on Kraven, which is, that makes sense. I'm good with that. Kraven just pulls out a gun, though, and he pops it off like a revolver. He pops it off, and the bullet hits Peter, but it pierces through him, and you turn the page and you see that Harry took one through the head, and Harry is dead. Harry is the big kill, the big first kill that we get in this series.
Something tells me something's fishy here. I don't quite believe it.
It doesn't feel like enough. Not that it's Harry. I think that's a great choice, but like this moment doesn't feel like enough. I feel like this should have been bigger given that Harry is like the secondary character.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I land on it. I feel like because it's a moment where nobody gets to react to it besides Peter.
Yeah.
There's no reaction from any kind of there's from an emotional standpoint besides Peter having to get out of there. And even his mind is elsewhere. That I feel like something is wrong or off rather. And I've never trusted Harry from the get. So I kind of wonder if this is either a Mysterio because this version of Mysterio is around, a illusion from him, but something seems fishy, and I mean that in a good way. I like mystery. I like a question mark involved with these things.
I said last issue that I believed that Mysterio was Gwen. I thought it was really obvious.
Oh man.
And
I didn't sorry, quickly, I didn't hear last issue, but I definitely picked that up on in this read.
well, dude, in the last issue, they're sitting at a table eating, and they're Mysterio's walking around and is stroking Harry's head. Like, what reason would there be for that? And then earlier on, there was a joke about the height of Mysterio having changed. Like, whoa, what's that about? And we just brushed it off. I think something happened to the real Mysterio, and that Gwen either was always that or has taken on that mantle. And the reason that Mysterio tells Peter to just leave and sort of no sells the situation is because what we saw, what Peter saw, isn't really what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. Okay, I don't. I'm not totally sold on the Gwen as Mysterio thing, but I think Mysterio is definitely involved, and something is up here.
I did have a bit of a problem with the Peter getting shot moment because like that's a very loosey goosey way to handle his spider senses.
Yeah.
That oh, you didn't get alerted because I wasn't aiming for you. Nah, dude. So what happens when a bomb goes off?
Yeah, that's not how that works. Yeah,
Well, but also he was, because the bullet had to go through him. So like
Yeah.
he was. Like that doesn't make sense at all.
And I didn't like that, and I just feel like it didn't need that moment didn't add any like value. It just added confusion for me. Like, wait, what are you saying? Like, what?
my confusion is also in Peter's power set. How does he still have spider sense and super strength? Because was it? I always thought that this was tied to the suit giving him that stuff, almost like a symbiotic thing. And if he doesn't have that, how does he still have these latent powers?
No, the his powers, I think, come. Well, I think Tony packages the powers in whatever original form they come in. I think the suit is just extra Tony Stark stuff.
But there wasn't
Yeah,
a bite, so
it's the same way that Luke was given his powers by just some device, whatever that device
Yeah.
is that he keeps pulling up on people with. It just gives them the powers they were supposed to have.
okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, that's the big moment of the issue is this shot. And I mean, look, if you're a well-seasoned comic book reader, this moment just doesn't feel right. It shouldn't, because I don't think it is, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it in the way of like there's more here, and so I like that. I'm into that. I have no problem with that at all, and I love what this moment means for Peter's life. What it means for Peter's life is that now he understands just how dangerous this can be because it hit close to home. He was worried about his family and he was a little bit upset that, Harry's wife, Gwen, would be safe from all this because of some protocols they have, because of how important they are. They're rich. And so I like that. But it actually goes the other way and Harry gets killed. So now Peter has to worry about his family. He has to worry about his friends, and they've got to go on the run.
So is this Ultimate Peter's Uncle Ben moment? I guess we haven't seen the ramifications to see if that's how it affects him.
I
I'm
don't
not
think so.
Yeah, I'm not convinced.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, is what I was trying to get at. It doesn't have the gravitas of that.
Like if this is what sort of we think it is, I think Harry and Gwen might have like set this up, this Mysterio business up, if it's all big Mysterio, whatever, um, might have set this up to get Peter to take that extra step into the reality of the situation, you know, um, to get him to step into the role that they want him to be in. Um, I don't see this being. I don't see Spider-Man being anyone but Peter.
So, sorry, you mean to say that you see Peter remaining Spider-Man throughout the course of this run?
Yeah, yeah. I think this might be more of an indicator of Peter turning against Harry and Gwen, assuming Gwen's Mysterio, in that they tricked him and set him up in this scenario, uh, and now he's on his own.
Right. Yeah, like now he lost the person who was his impetus for doing all of this in the first place. Harry was the one egging him on to go and do these adventures and stuff like that. We would always comment about Peter has no agency. He's going on these missions because of Harry. Now he has to uproot his family and figure it out without that guy who has not only the resources but the will to do this stuff. And when he comes to realize that Harry's not dead, that's going to be a problem for
Yeah.
Peter. And I think it's an interesting thing, even if we're wrong. Because if we're wrong and Harry really is dead, well, then Gwen just becomes the Green Goblin, does she not?
Potentially.
I mean, assuming she's not Mysterio.
Right. So, what I'm saying by saying that is that I think this now becomes a point at which this story can go a bunch of different ways,
Yeah.
and they're pretty much all compelling.
Well, they'll get us to the next issue anyway.
And Peter's screwed either way too. Like it's either he lost his new best friend, or he can never trust his new best friend. So either way, the drama's there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
The art was. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just as a quick aside to that, I also think at a certain point we probably ought to get Peter to the Ultimates, right? Like not even necessarily as a team member, but like at a certain point he's got to realize they're, the good guys.
We have an incursion coming up soon. Well, relatively soon. And they're all on the cover for that. So I can see that happening then. I think Free Comic Book Day special is probably where that happens. But yeah. At least to know that there is a fight to be had and he's not alone. And I would also assume it's on the news. Does this guy not watch the news? Did he not see Giant Man trampling Captain Britain early on?
He probably did.
Yeah.
He's a little busy right now.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to talk about the Chiquetto art. Um, the fact of the matter is that this book is just better when he's there. The obviously the art is better, but also those are the issues where you can anticipate that the story will move forward. And I wonder how this series plays if you simply remove all the issues that Chiquetto did not draw and only read those. Like, what is that like? That's outside the scope of this review, though. I really, really like Chiquetto's drawing of the Savage Land. It looks awesome. It's what you expect, um, but it's not at the same time because it's like it's it's not uh, it's not an island unto itself the way we're used to. But there's dinosaurs there, so we're getting to see him draw dinosaurs, which is super cool. Kraven looked amazing with that massive gun. He looked like a Hollywood. He looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like just shooting, just blasting them up with that gun. I thought that was pretty cool.
Chichetto draws great eyes. um, like the Craven's eyes in this progressively get more and more crazed. The pupils get smaller. There's more white to it, and there's this one eye that after Peter kind of like blows him up, or Harry, who has a great arm apparently, must have been a pitcher or something, that he can hit a collar from yards away with a rock. But after that, Craven has a huge welted eye, black eye, and it's disgusting and gross. And he just looks crazier and crazier and crazier as the issue goes on. And I also like the Matt Wilson colors in the background as that fight progresses. It goes from like cool greens of nice nature to just fire by the end of it. All the backgrounds, orange and yellow and red, and everyone's kind of all the colors display that as Peter sees more red as he kicks Craven's ass. I thought that was a great progression of that scene.
Yeah, to the colors. I really love when we see Peter speak with Mysterio. I think the greens and purples there against the light greens and sort of yellows. It just looks so good.
Great Mysterio design too, and there's a couple of panels where like because you can't see Mysterio's face, instead they just reflect the person he's talking to, so you see Peter's face reflected directly in it, and I think that's like a great way of portraying eye contact in a comic in a way that only few characters can do. You lose Mysterio's facial features on purpose because of the design, but then you get to do this little bit that you can't do with anyone else.
I also,
this was
man,
good.
Chichetto's Peter is just, oh, I wish I phrased that better. He's so handsome, and then the
Wow.
his silhouette is just it's great. It's so like athletic, but like when you look at it, even though he's Peter, like he's Spider-Man.
This feels masturbatory, Cale, because he kind of looks like you.
Well, come on. Yeah. I'm so handsome.
That guy who looks exactly like me is so handsome.
He looks so good, doesn't he, guys?
Uh, you know what? I think that this was my pick of the week. I think it was.
I think it's a
Yeah.
damn good issue. Not my pick of the week, but it's a damn good issue.
It's I'd say it's probably the best issue of Ultimate Spider-Man for me, for sure.
All right. Matt Fisher with the 199 super chat says the Seasons or X-Men as the book of the week. Okay, all right. And then he follows up with another 199 saying Harry's not dead. That seems to be the consensus right now. But we really don't know, and that's one of the fun parts with this series is that they've now introduced a new wrinkle that makes it really interesting. Let's see what you guys had to say. We always put the poll up for every book we review. 53% of you said poll. Didn't buy or read was 31%. Pick of the week, 10%, and 4% of you said pass.
I still don't think like based on this issue that Ultimate Spider-Man is like good enough to necessarily be following like the way Ultimates is, but this issue itself is like a good issue.
And where this issue leads off, where the next couple of issues with the month jumps can just be them on like the family on the lam as they're being hunted by whatever Sinister Six stuff is happening. I think that could lend itself to that monthly thing that I hate so much. Did we get to Hayden's hideout super chat earlier?
Nope.
Nope. So Hayden's hideout said regular pick of the week for them is Green Arrow number 21. Gooner pick of the week, did not know we were doing this, was Black Canary number 4, the Kendrick Lim variant. God, you're going to make me look that one up, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do the same thing. Jesus.
But thank you, Hayden. I'm glad you came out of the hideout for that.
You're disrupting the entire show right now. I just want you to know that, Hayden. You
Here
sent
we
the
go.
hosts off to go find covers. Oh my God. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see what you're going for. All right.
All right, I'll go look.
I mean, it's not the Gooniest thing. There's been worse. Rogue Savage Land 2 came out this week, right? That's more of a Gooner book.
Hey, did you see the cover to that though? It had some Khazar cheesecake on it. So I don't want to hear about I don't want to hear about how this is uneven because Khazar's up in there buff as shit. I don't look like Khazar.
Excuse me?
I can't take my shirt off right now and show you a six pack. No,
I
that's
forgot.
Gooner material.
I forgot that Khazar was the guy. I thought you were talking about the Sabretooth. I'm like, what? What did they did what?
Khazar cheesecake.
Yeah.
It's a great
Matt-
place. It's on Grand Street in Brooklyn. They have great slices. I'd recommend it, Cal.
Oh hell yeah.
Matt Fisher with the 1999 Shadow Monster. Do we think Peter leads the charge in the final battle against the Maker? Or is that a Tony thing? I ask because not only is he Spider-Man, but he's still the strongest hero in this reality. I've had a lot of caffeine. Well, Matt Fisher, I love your energy, especially when it's accompanied by bombs such as this. So thank you for that. Um, I don't think it will be Peter. No, I think it's going to be the Ultimates. I think it's going to be Tony or more likely Doom. This universe is
Yeah.
Doom.
It almost feels like those two will cancel each other out once the Maker is ultimately defeated, pun intended, and then we can live with that going forward.
Yeah. Lucas Hallner with the 199 says Fantastic Four pick of the week. Great issue and cover.
Joshua Cassara, I think, on cover. She-Hulk on it. Good stuff. Thank you. That's Lucas's first super on a live stream. So
Thanks, Lucas.
glad you did that.
Ooh,
Appreciate it.
congrats.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Make sure you smash the like button if you are enjoying the show so far. I know that there are a lot of theories about Ultimate Spider-Man going around. I guess we
Oh, they're in
should.
this chat.
Yeah, exactly. Banksy Main said, "So what if Harry is actually dead? Should Peter have killed Kraven? Is this some twist on the 'with great power comes great responsibility' premise?" It didn't feel like that. Just didn't. It didn't give me that impression. He's known Harry for like a handful of months. I don't feel like the death of Harry is the thing that's gonna like. Yes, it's the thing that makes him go, "Oh, this is real," but I don't think it's the thing that makes him like change his entire approach to his life and all of that.
Yeah, we're at issue 14, so he's known Harry for just over a year. In that case, um, it didn't have that weight.
I was just looking at the page where uh, 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 uh Harry is telling Peter to kill Craven, and he's doing that, that super villain thing of you gotta finish him, do it, otherwise it's him or us.
Very
Come on.
Palpatine do it style.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't trust this dude. I'm sorry.
You say that to suggest what, there, Cale?
It's set up. Harry is setting Peter up either to
Gotcha.
take a step or, whatever.
Gotcha.
It's, this is a setup.
So they were trying to convince Peter to kill Craven in order to push him over to the edge and for them to actually progress in their mission.
Yeah.
The only thing funky about that for me is that if Mysterio was Gwen, Gwen did not want Peter to pursue Kraven. So were their agendas misaligned? Did things change?
Might not be real. Don't go after Craven because this wasn't Craven.
You think the whole thing was a psyop? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Psyop. That's
I-
Mysterio's power is
I-
now Psyop.
I think Mysterio, Gwen and Harry got Peter lost in Central Park for a little bit too long, and that's why it only took him a couple of panels to get back home.
Yeah, I had a question about that. Where is the Savage Land in relation to New York City? Is it?
It's underground.
It's just
fucking
New York's hottest
it's
club.
Yeah, it's Prospect Park.
Yeah.
I think
he had to
it
go
takes
to
longer to get to
Brooklyn.
Prospect
Oh, no
Park.
wonder.
Hey, I've been to the Bronx a few times, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the savage land in New York. You walk around, I've seen some dinosaurs, I've seen some Moloids, I've seen some scary shit.
I
Fucking
think I think I saw Peter crossing Dykeman when he saw some of those Velociraptors.
Of course, if the Savage Land is actually hell, it could be like the turtles. He might have just gone to fucking Jersey. Oh,
Young Dende with the 4.99. Thank you, Dende. Doom fighting Maker would be poetic and a good way to get his lick back and use the Immortus engine to undo Maker's damage and create 6160 Fantastic Four. I would love to see some redemption for him down the road. I would like to see his story go there.
I would love to see Doom lick the Maker's back.
Ew.
Am I reading that right?
No.
Oh, my mistake.
Dende, what kind of follow-up tweet or message is that? He says, also, if Richard is 15 and Peter is 35, that means Pete and MJ were banging super early on. First of all, I'm glad that's not what you chose to super chat. But second of all, super early on, that's like late blooming. I mean, that's
That means they had a kid when Peter was 20,
yeah. So what?
which I guess is normal. Wouldn't recommend it, especially with the prices these days and childcare. Come on.
Dude, my mom had me when she was like 17. This is what happens in life. You know, they made it out fine. She was a model, right?
Sure. I mean, I guess.
Good money. Good money. They were okay. All right. Let's get into well, before we get into our next book, I did want to say tomorrow, Thursday, we will not be live here because Tyler and I are going over to the Near Mint Condition YouTube channel to talk about evergreen Daredevil books. So if you guys are familiar with Near Mint, I'm sure you are. Their evergreen streams are always a blast. I love being on them, and so we will get to represent the Comics Pals there. Hopefully, you guys will come out and show your support. Every time we have been on that channel so far, you guys have been great. You come, you shout us out, you say our names, and you let them know, quite frankly, that you want to see us over there. And that's why I was just on there yesterday. I was on there with Maddie doing old reader, new reader for a book called Upgrade Soul, which was fantastic. So the point is, the more you show support to us, the more our name spreads out, and we get to do cool things like these crossovers.
And Sean, what time is that?
That is at I don't even know. I think it's at 6:30. 6:30 is
Okay,
typical.
that was for the listeners and me who has to be on it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Eastern Standard Time, by the way.
Yes. And then also Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern is the next time that we will be live on this channel. There is so much news still to go from Comics Pro, and there was movie news that dropped this week and television news from DC. So there's all sorts of stuff to talk about. Jam-packed Saturday show this week.
Definitely going to mention the words Godzilla and Starfire at some point on that show. Maybe not in the same sentence, but a lot of news this week.
I dare you to try.
I'll give it a go.
All right. Let's keep things rolling. Let's get into our next book. We're going into the DC side of things to talk about Absolute Wonder Woman #5. This is written, of course, by one of our faves, Kelly Thompson, with art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Becca Carey. This is the final issue of the very first arc of this series. This one is the last Amazon. It's worth pointing out that more than a few books have shifted over to a 5-issue arc. And I wonder what that is, because the Power Fantasy was even 5 issues for its arc, so I've been noticing that lately. But Wonder Woman is still battling the Tetracide. And in this issue, last issue, we saw her sword go jumbo big,
Whew.
and she used it to cut the head off, but that didn't get the job done. And so now she has to dig even deeper in her bag, so to speak, to pull out a trick, a transformation that turns her into Medusa, which was pretty nuts, and allows her to defeat the Tetracide just in time to be dragged to hell on the final page.
That was very Sam Raimi, Drag Me to Hell. And then it just comes out of nowhere. Boom. Right in front of everyone. Yeah. I don't think I got to... I think I was too busy getting surgery to talk about issue 4 and the giant sword. So I think I missed that one. But I thought this was a lot of fun. I know that there's... I think I've seen some, or maybe you guys have talked about it, but like discussion like... She's not really doing much. She's been fighting the same friggin' kaiju for 6 issues at this point. And I see that, but that doesn't really bother me because that's not the crux of the storytelling here. That's just more of a set piece. It's a set piece to really introduce Wonder Woman in 2 ways. To introduce who she is as a person with flashbacks and her interactions with, like the military at one point, Etta last issue, and Steve and all that. But also to introduce her power set, because it is wildly different than I almost said 616 Diana's. You know what I mean? Whatever Prime DC is at this point. And we get to finally see what that other lasso does, the sacrifice one. I can't read Greek, so anytime it showed up in Greek, I was trying to word that out in my head. I'm like, no, it's got to say sacrifice.
I was like trying to read Apocalypse's name back in the day, Krakoa.
Yeah. I just hear Dune soundtrack noises, and I thought this was really good. I think this shows there's that one bit, where Diana's flashing back to her time on the Wild Island, or I think it's what it's called, with Cersei, as Cersei gives her this gift, and Wonder Woman has to use that gift, which is almost a curse, to fight a harpy, and we never see what happens to that harpy. We just know it was bad because the way Hayden drew her reaction. Hayden did some really interesting panel work in those flashback scenes where everything was kind of almost like a picture, like an ornate picture frame in the way the panels were, and they were kind of bordered with red constantly. And as she's choking the harpy underwater, we see like the glow from the sacrifice lasso, and her face just full of horror. We don't even need to know what happened. We just know it was bad, and she never wants to do it again, which then made when she has to use it on herself so much more impactful in this issue. I had a lot of fun with this. I thought this was really, really good stuff.
Yeah, I really really catching up to Absolute Wonder Woman. I really really enjoyed um doing all this. I think I really love this book. I think it's so much fun and it's such an interesting look at Wonder Woman that makes her something different. And I really like that. It feels like uh Kelly is taking it from an angle that the others have sort of dipped their toe in, but like this direct contact with um mythology and other, Greek gods um feels more intimate, more she's interacting with them on a more personal level versus, the way she would like work colleagues or whatever. And I really really enjoy that. I think my overall issue, now that we're here on number 5, I think I'm a bit worried at the longevity of this title. Um, because through these 5 issues, she's kind of pulled out some big tricks, and I think they've all been really good and really cool, and each issue has been um very interesting. But what is she gonna do for the next one?
The good
You
thing
know,
is, yeah,
please.
I was gonna say the good thing is she has a magic bag that is a bag of holding essentially, so she
Yeah,
could pull out whatever at this point.
yeah. So like I think I haven't minded the 5 issue battle. Um, but I like I say, I'm worried about the longevity of the series if it's gonna go similar to this. Um, I really loved the look at Cersei in this issue. I think that the this new lasso really showed, Heckett said it showed the level of care and the depth of her love and worry for Diana. And I think that bit of characterization really really spoke to that character so much, and I'm very excited to see how that uh triangle relationship works.
Um, yeah, I don't know. This series isn't doing it for me right now. I think it's interesting and I think there's good stuff, but the tetracide, is just boring. It's not interesting. And it's been in the exact same position for 5 issues. That is just not cool. And I like the backstory that we are getting. I think it's all good stuff and it's worth it. But because the stuff in the present isn't really compelling, it makes it hard for me to care about seeing the backstory. And when you compare it to Absolute Batman, that book is moving like a truck and you're getting the backstory. I don't think there's really an excuse for this to be so slow. Like it's just what Kelly chose to do, and that's fine. That's her decision. She's the one in the chair. But um, I have not been overwhelmed with excitement because I don't feel like there's anything to be excited about. Um, Seeing her turn into Medusa and the Tetracide dying like that was pretty cool, but it made the ending of last issue feel like redundant because we all thought it was dead and then it just wasn't, and it died again. You know, like to my eye, I saw it die in the last issue and then I saw it die again here. So it felt redundant and it felt like we had to go through a lot more backstory just to get to her ultimately killing the thing, which we thought she had done in the last issue anyhow. So I don't know. I get that everybody is really, really into this, but for me, the page that I enjoyed the most was the last one where she gets dragged to hell because it's a promise that something more interesting is going to happen.
Matt Fisher's proving you wrong, Sean. He gave us 199 and said, wrong. Tetra moved into the city. There was forward progression.
Lovely.
Yeah, I mean, I see that viewpoint. It's just that doesn't bother me. Like, it doesn't need to be like the progression isn't with the story in my eyes here. It's with the characters and learning what this world is. And I think there was plenty of progression in that throughout these 5 issues.
I think my problem with that is we're not so much getting to live in the world because these 5 issues have taken place over a day, couple hours. We've gotten the glimpses at the past and this look at who Diana is and sort of her surrounding cast, and that's all well and good, but again, to compare it to Batman and Superman, we are actually getting a broader look at what the world is like. And while I am appreciating the slower pace in this intimate character piece, I can see, well, I guess I would say the argument that there's no bigger movement in time makes sense to me.
There literally isn't. Like, there's just no way around that. And that's gonna work for some people and not for others. I need my books to move. They gotta move. And you know, I just the Tetracide as of it doesn't talk. It's just I don't really understand why the other Absolute books got to be everything. They get to be everything they get to be, and this one just feels stuck. That I'm frustrated because out the gate, this was the one that I was like most excited about, but so far it just feels very small scale. So that's why I'm really excited to get out of this first arc so we can see more things and see how Wonder Woman hopefully reacts to a different environment. Um her supporting cast is here, and that was another piece that kind of annoyed me because these people well, I guess Steve Trevor didn't just meet her, but the all the rest of them did, and it's like they're now they're immediately like in love with her, which I was kind of bummed by. And then Steve just immediately knows what to do. He gets into his Black Widow bag and calms her down like she's the Hulk. And I was just like, damn, dude, how did you even figure out how to do like who are you? How did you figure out that this is the way? Um, I don't know. I wish I wasn't feeling this way about the book, but I'm not really having that good of a time.
I like the Steve bit. I mean, yeah, it's a little hokey that he just knew how to do this, but him stepping up to return the favor, even if it killed him, because of what she did to get him out of hell, I thought was really good. And I like how I'm still feeling nothing in terms of romance in that. That's like seems like pure good platonic friends, and I think that's a good take on it.
They seem to have the same relationship as Diana and Pegasus to me.
I think there's more chemistry with her and Pegasus, to be
I
honest.
think so too.
In terms of like I don't know, like not romance. She's not gonna fuck the skeleton horse, but
Well,
like,
didn't have to say that.
well, I thought it.
Definitely didn't have to say that.
But like I like that as a take because I think Sean said it on one of the shows. Steve Trevor is a boring character. He's military grunt number 3 on a call sheet, you know. So adding this twist where it's just like maybe they're just like really good platonic friends. It's fine, and I like that, and I like the bit where Tetracide is dead. It's full of ash. It's turned to stone. Diana punched it, exploded, and then she just takes a beat to kneel down and pray to all these gods, and she names them all. She even like praises, and they're all female gods. And she even praises Aphrodite, who made the curse of Medusa in the most fucked up way possible. It's a horrible story about the cruelty of gods, but even then, that had its benefit to her in this situation. It's great. I love the Greek god stuff. I'm excited to see where that goes.
The Hayden Sherman art remains the highlight of the book. I think the way the way they drew Medusa was really cool. Like you can still see the aspects of Wonder Woman, of Diana in the face of Medusa, but that transformation is I wish we had gotten a little bit more of a transformation sequence. We see there are some panels going into it, but it's not really like when I said that, I was thinking about the body horror we've been getting in Incredible Hulk right now. And I would have really loved a sequence like that. She just kind of blows up and is Medusa. But it still looked really cool. And, Hayden can draw, the big monsters and stuff. I want to see them get to do more because, quite frankly, I'm bored of seeing Hayden draw the same monster in the same environment for 5 issues. So, for me, I'll be excited to see some visual diversity as well. Quite frankly, though, since I'm on the matter, I think the panel layouts have gotten a little less interesting to me too. I don't
That's
know.
nuts.
Okay,
But go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you
no,
were finished.
that's fine. Go ahead.
I still think they're incredible. Even the double there are a couple of double page spreads where there are multiple it is split into 2 pages, but each panel has its own little unique shape. Like the ones in the middle have a rounded off uh outside edge, and it gives everything else a rounded edge except the stuff on the far edge of the page.
It feels like plates of armor is what it feels like and what it looks like to me.
And then the stuff in the background, the flashbacks, still just it looks like pottery to me. Like I just think, yeah, I think still think it's incredible.
They're doing crazier stuff on Dark Patterns, I think, in terms of panel layout, with like it being in the guy's lapel, a panel being in the guy's lapel and vest. But I still think there is a deliberate stylization to the panel layout in here that nobody else in comics is doing, and I'm still really enjoying it. And it feels like there's a thematic reasoning for what they're doing in the flashbacks compared to the present day. It's good. It's good stuff.
What isn't is it just like old hat to you now? Like, not that you're not seeing the craft or whatever, but like, is it just you get it?
Yeah, I think I'm just bored with this book.
Hmm.
I think I'm just bored. Luna with the $5. Absolute Wonder Woman is still the best of the three. I know everyone. I know everyone. Also, everyone knows how to handle Medusa. Cover your eyes.
Cover your eyes.
Turn me to stone.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, but that wasn't what I was talking about, Luna. I was talking about the fact that he knew that he could calm her down and bring her back. obviously we all know that we cover our eyes when we see Medusa. I'm gonna say pull. It's still solid, but I need something different than what we're getting right now.
Pick of the week, Cal, is for you? It's not mine. It's close, but it's not mine.
Oh man, I would have said yes, except I just remembered the end of
I think we
Superman,
I think we have the same pick then.
and that actually got me really excited to do that, and then Justice League got me really excited. I think I have to sit on this another minute. It's definitely a pull. It's a very, very strong pull. I love this book. Um, I'm gonna say pick of the week. I'm gonna say pick of the week.
Cool.
All right, let's see what you guys are saying. I'm going to end the poll here now. And 55% of you say pull. Didn't buy or read is 21% of you. Pick of the week, 18%. And 5% of you are passing on this one.
That's more of a positive rate than Ultimate Spider-Man was.
Yeah, makes sense. We have
Just-
more of a DC leaning audience.
Just
so
squeaked it out.
that makes sense to me. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Cole says Hayden has 3 books on the shelf right now. That's crazy. Yeah, Dark Patterns was being worked on a while ago, so it's not as if Hayden is drawing it at the moment, or at least has the lead time to be able to do that book. I don't know how much of it was already in the can. And then this, and what's the third book? Is it a Dark Spaces one, or what
It's
is
the
it?
only one I
Forget.
could remember them being on. And I think
Is that-
I think the Batman one might have already been banked fully at this point. I think I read that somewhere.
Joseph Wolf says it's like the opposite problem as the Ultimate books, all moving a month every issue. Yeah, this one feels like it's moving too slow, and those feel like they move too fast. It's very weird. It's very, very weird. But I believe that this will pick up and be fine.
Uncanny Suit says, "Don't worry, Sean. The Tetracide will be explained more in the Wonder Woman video game." Wait,
Rip.
Yeah.
I just looked up Wonder Woman issue 6 out of curiosity because I'm like, all right, all of the other books have had like fill-ins, and there is a fill-in. It's an origin issue, and it's drawn by Matteo De Ulis.
That's hot. The
Yeah.
art's gonna be phenomenal. But the origin of who? Wonder Woman again?
Of her weapons.
Oh, great.
Hmm.
I just can't wait.
All right.
I'm hyped for that. This feels like it feels very video gamey in terms of like, it's like God of War. You know, every weapon has a backstory.
Yeah, but we could learn about that in the text. I trust Kelly. I'm here for it.
Sean, can I sell you on the backup story? Because that book has a backup.
I don't know if there's ever a time where you could sell me on a backup story.
It's a Lil Diana story written by Kelly Thompson with art by Dustin Nguyen.
I don't give a fuck.
No,
I gotta
no, yeah,
tell
I
you,
didn't
man.
think that would-
I
that would
don't.
sell you.
They gotta. I don't want to see that. I want to see something crazy. Um, how come the origin issue for Absolute Superman was so insanely good? Like that was like the maybe the best absolute issue we've gotten out of any of these. I want there like I don't feel like any of these issues have reached the height of that or what we've seen from Batman yet, and that's what's bothering me.
I think it's like
Yeah,
different strokes for different characters for me.
But I'm not talking about different strokes. I'm talking about like reaching that same height. Like, do you think it's as good? Do you think it's reached those heights?
I think it's I think it's doing something very different. So for me, yes.
I think as a whole, it's been higher steadily, but Absolute Superman number 3 is just really, really damn good. So I think that one might have hit a height higher if we're looking at it, you know, in terms of, you know, peaks and valleys. But this one's just been consistently at a high level in my eyes.
All right, fair enough. Um, let's see. Yeah, Banksy Main says something crazy like a skeleton Pegasus, and I shouldn't have started reading that. Thank you, Banksy. Let's talk about super. Let's talk about Superman number 23. This is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Dan Mora, colors by Alejandro Sanchez, and letters by Ariana Mayer. So, last issue, the Time Trapper, aka Old Doomsday, made Superwoman, aka Lois Lane, an offer that maybe she can't refuse. Although she refuses it pretty instantly to help him, and so she's not interested in doing that. Of course, she hates Doomsday because he killed Clark. And in this book, she talks about how she hates Doomsday for that, but also because he made Superman kill him, which is Superman something that Superman never wants to do, and so she felt like Doomsday hurt Clark even more by making him do that. And so her refusal brings us right back into the major action of the book. Um, she's unable to stop Jimmy Olsen from being injured. So that plays into her emotions here. Lex has to get involved in trying to save the day. Um, this issue really moves things forward. I mean, it's the end for now of this portion of the story. We will be returning to the Doomsday stuff later on, but it really moves to get us wrapped up until we can refer back to it later.
This was my pick of the week. I thought what Williamson and Dan Moore are doing, especially in this arc of Superman, have been really damn good. It feels like an event, and maybe that's because Dan Moore is on art, and it just feels like there's weight to his art now. But man, everyone was involved. You had, Jimmy Olsen actually getting to do something, even though he gets kind of fridged by the end here. He gets hit with that special beam cannon, did not work out for him. And but I like that there's just so much, there's so many good bits here. The idea of Superwoman being given the same choice that Clark is given, so Lois gets the same decision to have to make, and she chooses the same way as him for different reasons. Proves that I think they're a good foil to each other, even as Superman and Superwoman. They work as a team, but they go about things differently. I like that bit a lot. I like that she kind of gets her first loss really as a hero, because Jimmy gets mollywopped by this Revenant dude. I Yeah, I thought this was really damn good. The cliffhanger at the end is kind of what sold me on it. I was like, hell yeah. There's forward progression, not just for Superman, but for like what is DC doing as a whole. And Williamson being a part of that made me happy as well. Yeah, I thought it was really, 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 really good. I'm having a lot of fun with the Superman stuff, which are words that don't typically come out of my mouth.
Yeah, for me, what really tipped this was the ending. But what I enjoyed the fact that there were, well, enjoyed. I appreciated that there were consequences. We've got Jimmy in the hospital, and Lois, like we said, has taken the L, but she gets to feel what Clark feels, um the way he feels it. She took an L, and she took a real one. She's not on the sidelines to kind of wondering uh how he's going to get through this. Like, this was hers, and she couldn't do it. And I think that was, uh I'm interested to see what Lois does as Superwoman from here.
Yeah, I thought this was a really great issue. This arc has been so strong. Um, Man, I feel like Joshua Williamson often gets like a weird rap sometimes. But boy is he consistent. And this Superman run is shaping up really nicely. The stuff with Lois is great. Her reaction to, blaming herself for what happened to Jimmy, even though he shouldn't have been there in the first place. Um, she puts it on herself, and that's what heroes do. So I like that. And she's not necessarily built for this life. Um, this isn't what she does. And
Mm.
so she's taking it really hard. We'll see how they progress this story. I do wonder about how long she's going to have her powers. How long are they going to
Yeah.
let that play out? Um, yeah, there was a lot of good stuff here. And boy, oh boy, Dan Mora is a beast. We say it every single week when we review a Dan Mora book, but my goodness, Sky can go.
And then like even like yes, I talked about the cliffhanger at the end here, but like they even touch on the Zod stuff, so we know that toll's got to be paid soon with Lois. It made Doomsday the most compelling I've read Doomsday in a long time, honestly. Typically a Doomsday story, I'm like, all right, Superman's gonna punch this dude, he's gonna come back, cool. But I like how it also leads to a little bit of tension between Lex and Superman as well, because
Mm.
Lex finally has
Yeah.
his mind back, and he comes up with a quick solution using the memories he had working with Brainiac, to come up with a way of making like the Bottle City work for Doomsday and these evil people and kind of bottle them up. Which like freaks out some people because it's like, oh, if Doomsday dies there, then he's gonna be impervious to time. Which, funny enough, he becomes a time trapper later on. So I like how because Lex is still a good guy. He's still doing the right thing here, even though he has his memories back. But he doesn't go about it the way that Superman would go about it. So there's still tension between the two, even though it's not hero versus villain. And I like that because it's not losing the character development that Lex had, but adding just a new wrinkle to it all.
When does this take place in relation to the one shot?
I couldn't figure that out either. It almost
Because
felt like right before
The big one shot.
yeah,
the Lex one, yeah.
Oh, that one. That one. I don't know.
not Lex in the City, but the one where we read it on the
Yeah, the
show.
Lex Luthor special. The Eddie Barrows one.
I don't know where that takes place
Doesn't
in
tell you.
continuity, but I don't remember at the beginning of this arc them referring to the idea that Lex had his memories back. So I don't know that he does. I'm
He,
confused.
he doesn't in this issue. He doesn't because he says, "Oh, wish I could help you, but I can't." But then
Right.
he has one memory that coalesces, and he's able to then use that one thought out of it. So, in my eyes, the special did not happen yet in this book. This just happened to be a one quick eureka moment for Lex, which does
Okay.
take a little teeth out of the special. But the special, as we read it, we kind of felt like, oh, this is them coming up with something just to justify what happens later on to align him more with what it's going to be like in the movie.
What what happened at the end of this?
What part?
So the three people at the end,
Yeah.
that's the Legion. That's Darkseid's Legion.
Oh shit.
Saturn,
Okay.
Right?
Saturn
Yeah,
Girl, Lightning
right.
Lad, and
Oh.
who was the other one, Kale? So it was Lightning Lad, Saturn Girl, and who was the third?
Cosmic Boy.
Cosmic Boy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a direct tie into the All-In special.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah, that moment had no meaning to me because I didn't know who they were. I was like, at first I thought like, are these Zod's people? Is this like is these Zod's people? Because it's three
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I really had to like take a second because I had the same thought. Okay, it's connected to Zod. He was in the issue, and then I went, wait, that doesn't look right. I was kind of scoping out their uniforms, and I was like, surely this lightning guy has it. And then like, um, it just I don't know, it just clicked.
Saturn Girl's costume, even the Omega symbol, still has her logo, so you can tell there.
Oh
Sick.
yeah, so it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't make out that shape, but yeah, the thing that sold it to me was the omega symbol on their chest.
Wow. Well, that has major implications for the future
Yep.
of DC. Wow. Okay, cool. I cannot wait to see where they go with that.
For me, this was huge, and especially alongside World's Finest, and especially alongside the New God stuff. And then it wasn't Justice League; it was Green Lantern. And we'll get there, but they're doing stuff on the source wall, and there's stuff going on
Right.
there, and I'm like,
You're eating
let's
right now.
this
Yeah.
this is what we're talking about. We're talking about like a world that's interacting together, a universe that's feeding off of itself, that feels big, but it feels lived in, and things are happening and things are affecting one another. This rules.
If only there was a Titans book you were enjoying, then you'd be perfect. You'd be set.
Oh man.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that none of this feels forced. None of it
No.
feels shoehorned in. None of it feels. It all feels like, okay, this is a natural extension of what's been happening, or, it's a response to the world that we're living in right now. And I think it's beautiful. And I hope that DC takes the right lessons from this and that Marvel does too. Because Marvel's not really
Yep.
doing this. I mean, they're kind of doing it now with the One World Under Doom, but like this is going amazingly well.
Marvel does feel like it works in stages though, where this feels super organic. It's not being like when we'll talk about Green Lantern, but when they go to the source wall, they're not being like, "Hey, here's the source wall. If you want more of the source wall, read New Gods #3." You know what I mean? Like, it's just like they're just using similar locations and themes and plot points without having to really reference the other. Where if you're not reading it, you won't know what's going on. But if you are reading it, it adds an additional element to it.
And it feels like it's leading somewhere.
For sure.
Yeah, for me, that's the biggest key. It feels like it's going somewhere, and these books are talking to each other, but they're not yelling; they're whispering,
Yeah.
and I love that. I love that. And I thought this was a really great issue, so I'm definitely a pull on it. Fantastic. Maybe if I knew what you guys said about who those characters were at the end, I might have had a bigger reaction to this
Yeah.
book when I read it, but I still thought it was really good.
Do we have a reason why Lightning Lad is white again? Was that a different one?
Dark side's into white people. That's
Oh
kind
no,
of a
jeez.
dark side thing.
That was the effect of the Omega Beam when he got hit by it. That shit made him white.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's what would happen to me. It would turn me into the true Winter Soldier if I got hit by the Omega Beam.
Whoa.
Turns you into Bean.
Yes, it turns me into my cousin. All right, let's see what you guys are. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Did you guys all? Well, you said both pick of the
Yeah,
week,
pick of
right?
the week.
Easy.
Yeah.
The chat says 44% poll, 33% didn't buy or read. Now I'm gonna assume that's because today is Wednesday, because I know you guys are
Sure.
reading Superman.
Because didn't read, yeah, is gonna be heavy today.
Yeah, exactly. Pick of the week, 16% and 5% of you said pass. So yeah, you guys are rocking with Superman. This book's been great.
This as like a trade, like this arc, I think would be a great trade to give too. Like it is kind of
Yeah.
insular. Like yes, we get the tease of of the Legion at the end there, but I think you could read this as like just a story of Lois getting Superman's powers and having to deal with Superman's issues, and Doomsday coming back and Superman having to deal with that. I think there's a great story in and of itself of this little arc. One question though. How do they not know it's Lois? Like she doesn't have glasses. Is her hair like she go from like a middle part to a side part? Like
Tyler, genuinely, I was reading this like that part. I know the part you're talking about. I'm reading that part, and I'm like, okay, okay, okay. It's a comic book, and
that's what
this
I
is
had
how
to
they
too.
handle
Yep.
Superman, and I need to let it the fuck go because I don't want to get on here and yell about that because I understand how dumb it is to yell about that. But boy, does stuff like that bother me on the low.
It does the opposite for me. I think it's so stupid. I
The
enjoy it.
the lowest.
Oh God. Oh, Matt Fisher with the 499 Black LL Lightning Lad
Yep.
Lightning Lad.
was Bendis Legion of Superheroes. I don't think we will ever see them again outside of group shots.
Or outside of a book club because it's Bendis month next week, and you could vote for that book.
That's right. That's
If
a
you
great
nominate it.
point. The nomination threads for Bendis Month Book Club are up right now. For the month of March, we're going to be celebrating Brian Michael Bendis. So hopefully you guys will do that with us. And during this time period, look, Bendis is getting older. All right, not that he's an old man or anything like that. I'm sure he's in his mid-50s or whatever. But if you think about the fact that we were introduced to Bendis, on a mass scale about 20 years ago, we've seen his entire mainstream comics, even 20 years ago, further back than that, because Ultimate Spider-Man started in 2001. So, a little over 20 years ago, we've seen his whole mainstream comics career. And now it's winding down, right? At least the mainstream part of it. And I would love to really give Bendis his flowers this month, in the month of March. So hopefully you guys will join us in that.
One of my favorites of all time.
I genuinely don't know what to expect out of this. I really don't.
There's so much, dude.
I don't think I've definitely not read Ultimate Spider-Man. Maybe since we started the show.
You remember that one thing we did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the long ago ancient times.
Right.
But like even still, it's like there's so much to Bendis and there's so much that we know now. Just in terms of like, how his career sort of went, like, at DC, and then like how he was waning at Marvel at the time, and it just like there's so much surrounding all that and all that weight, and I personally feel so separated from that early love of his work. I genuinely don't know what to expect or how I think I'm gonna feel.
That's compelling. I like that. I'm intrigued.
Because I loved Ultimate Spider-Man is what made me go, I'm gonna be a comic book writer. And I just I don't know.
Are you afraid to go back to that potentially?
I don't know about afraid. I just don't. Maybe afraid.
Okay. I never read it, so I can't speak on it.
Sorry, you've never read Ultimate Spider-Man?
Nope. Not until one of the relaunches with it was there was a relaunch and everything looked very anime. I forget what it was.
Yeah. Ultimate Comics Spider-Man?
Maybe. Yeah. I read it then.
Sean, you got a flag for that?
Throwing a flag on the play?
I do.
Damn.
Yeah.
Only time I'm ever gonna ask for one.
It was AU. I was only interested in the mainline stuff. Ugh. I was reading Big Time.
Way before Big Time, my man.
I was reading Tolkien probably around that time.
Matt Fisher with the 199 says Bendis equals Ultimate Spider-Man or Superman. No. Legion of Superheroes. Hey, everybody can nominate a book. You, Matt Fisher, already have, because I have already collected all of the nominations that we have received thus far. Keep them coming in. I am so excited to see how this plays out. The final 4 books are going to be very interesting.
Do you have a picture?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk about it?
We can talk about it.
What are the front runners right now?
So at the moment, it's obviously Ultimate Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
But then New Avengers is just behind it, so they're like neck and neck. And then weirdly, Jessica Jones. I shouldn't say it's weird. That's a great book. Jessica Jones.
Alias.
And I'm sorry.
Is it Alias specifically?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, we have Alias, but we also have the 2016. I think it was Jessica Jones.
I thought it was Kelly Thompson.
Was it?
Yeah,
Well, these are user submitted, so I'll do the double check, but Alias is up here, but and then Man of Steel by Bendis as well is here. Those are the front runners.
Boy, out of that list, I think the one I would be the most excited to read is probably Alias. That's one I
Yeah.
never got around to.
It's fire.
The
Alias
one that
in
strikes
Seattle.
terror into my veins is Man of Steel.
Why is it
I
on
don't
there?
even I don't even know how I would handle it if New Avengers was the pick, because that book is so important to me, man. Like,
Yeah.
USM is amazing and it's goated and everything, but New Avengers is like, that is my book.
Raft Breakout. It's got to start at the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I love, like, volumes in when it's like Thing, Doctor Strange, Iron Fist, like, I love that stuff. That's like Imminent, too, I think was drawing it at the time. But, like, that early Raft Breakout with Electro, and then you got, like, the Venomized arc where everything, there's like a Venomized T-Rex or some shit.
That's Mighty Avengers, is it not?
Oh, is it Mighty? It's all in my
Yeah.
head. But, man, that Raft stuff's good. And correction on my point, Bendis did do the Marvel Now Jessica Jones in 2016. There was another
Okay.
one later on that Kelly did.
There you go. There you go. All right. Let's keep things rocking and rolling. Justice League Unlimited number 4, Mark Waid. We are getting a double dose of Dan Mora this week because he's on art here. Ariana Mayer on the letters and colors by Tamra Bavlin. The Justice League, if you were curious, are still putting out forest fires. But this is
In
magic
Borneo?
fire. Not in Borneo, because if it was
I
in Borneo,
I told you that if the league came back, they'd be doing that same damn thing.
and you're right. I can't even believe, like, of all the things that I thought this book would be about, I never considered that Mark Waid, the architect of DC, would put the Justice League in the middle of a forest with fire for
Incredible.
fucking 4 issues or whatever.
You know what? I loved it. Because I felt like this was compelling compared to what we joke about with that Titans run. I thought the fact that the Amazon rainforest is on fire, and yes, there's a bit of like, ooh, here's if the Amazon rainforest is destroyed, it ruins the ozone layer, and the Earth is destroyed. Essentially, there's all these dominoes. But what it does is it lets the Justice League, because it's unlimited, it still stretches them thin, and it really stretches them to their limits. And I think it makes for great bits with Mr. Terrific and having to, decide, how does he plan this? How does he play this? He doesn't really have superpowers outside of his brain. So him having to figure this out and, think outside the box, I thought was really good. And it also lets us see a lot of characters and how they interact here. I think one of the benefits to this book, even though it's a Justice League book and we've been missing it for a while on the line, is that it lets us see kind of lesser known characters shine. Like Tefe Holland showing up. Also, just like Marco to not show up for the issue dealing with Swamp Thing stuff.
Right.
And the cover with a word balloon on it too, and he's not here. Come on, Marco, what are you doing? But I think having her shine here. There's a Mr. Terrific shining throughout this. I thought this was really damn good. I'm having a lot of fun with this Justice League book, even though it's not what I expected. But it's just a big book, and I enjoy it.
I didn't particularly see the big deal about Mr. Terrific in this book. And I actually kind of feel like if we didn't have Mr. Terrific, there might have been a little bit more room. I really felt like this issue was busy and not in like the fun way. I felt like I was being bounced around because there was just so much that was happening. I think this approach would be good if it weren't everybody all at once. If every issue was just a couple of people, if it was Mr. Terrific, Tefe, and Aquaman, versus and maybe they have to meet the magic people. That's cool. But Stars and Striper here, Red Tornadoes here, like it's just like there was so much. And then when we get to the Batman stuff, where he goes, to find Martian Manhunter, I got to that page and I went, oh, thank you. Like it was just like a breath of, I could stop for a second. I just like this book is busy, and I don't feel like it needs to be.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. This there's just too many characters, and it's less about that, I guess, in my mind, as it is about that they're a lot of them are doing different things. So there's like different stuff going on with different characters, and every time you kind of want to settle into a scene, you turn the page, there's different characters doing something different in a different part of this whole deal. We saw Egypt here. We saw like they went and they had to get Tefe and then Aquaman. Like there's so many things happening that it was hard for me to like invest in any of those sequences. And we just resolve things, and truthfully speaking, I'm not even sure why they succeeded. I don't understand how Aquaman's powers were able to help here just because of waves and currents, but we're not talking about water. Like, all right, sure, fine. Maybe my brain just doesn't work on as high a level as Wade's does, but I was confused. Um, I don't know, man. This was not like the first two issues of this were pretty good, but the second two, I don't know. This ain't it for me.
I like that it kind of felt all over the place because that kind of made me feel like what I assumed the League is feeling like. Because even the villain, the hooded guy that we still don't have, even though he knows Aquaman and they've fought before, which makes me think it's just Legion of Doom. But even he is like, yeah, I'm there to spread you guys thin.
It's gonna be real disappointing if this is just the Legion of Doom.
I mean, we know that crossover is happening soon, and they're all over the cover. So, I like the idea that like, oh, that's the objective of these villains is not necessarily to destroy the Earth. Sure, that could happen, and that's fine. But I'm spreading them thin and I'm wearing them out so that we can then take over. And in that, the way the story's told, it feels very hectic. It feels very frenetic and frantic, and I enjoyed that in a way.
I would have enjoyed it if it wasn't fire. If they, because like think about how chaotic the last arc of Captain America was that we read yesterday for the book club. You have Falcon doing his thing. You have the Winter Soldier. Cap's there. Crossbones and Sin. Red Skull's looking on. There's robots. There's so much shit going on, but it feels centralized and you can follow it and it's got focus to it. This just didn't feel like it had focus to it. And I think a frenetic pace can work, but when it's coupled with so many characters and you're just now introducing Tefe and her having to get involved, like boy oh boy, did they have a lot of uh beats to hit in this issue, and I just feel like I feel like it gets bogged down by the weight of its plots.
I can see, especially if you don't know who Tefe is. I know we all do here, but like if you don't know who she is, that could be confusing because it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you're related to Alec Holland, who's not even the current Swamp Thing. Like,
Well, yeah, and who's Alec Holland?
exactly, yeah. So I can see it like how that might be confusing, but this in my eyes is just like I found the fire to be a good antagonist in a way because you can't punch it and it's magic based. So like how powerful the Justice League is right now, like Superman's there, like they have everyone there. They still couldn't really fight this because it was because it was so uncontrollable in a way.
Yeah, but there's a way to show the League doing so much without cutting to them every other panel. Like we can get a computer shot of the League is spread thin and Mr. Terrific and Red Tornado are typing their little heads off. Um, and then we have our tight focus, of Tefe and Aquaman and whatever. I feel like there's a better way that this could be done.
I guess my one gripe with the issue would have been in terms of pacing and I liked that frenetic storytelling and how we're going all over the place and everyone's like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's like the world's on fire. You know, like that saying, you know, like in a workspace, like, oh, everything, something's on fire. Everyone's running around trying to figure out where they would work. And in this case, it's literal. But then we go into middle of the desert quickly for a couple pages with Batman and Martian Manhunter. I thought that sequence was very good, but I thought it cut from the pacing that was like, oh, we're going to screech to a halt real quick. And that kind of bothered me. But I did like that sequence.
The Dan Mora art remains here as good as it always is. We talk about the alchemy. You want to talk about magic fire. Dan Mora has the magical ability to be on two books that are on the stands in the same week, and for them to not be lesser books by any means. Visually speaking, I mean, this is a feast. It's cool to get to see Dan Mora draw different portions of this conflict and get to see him draw so many different characters. And they all look great. Like they're all like to me in my mind right now, this is how DC's characters look. They look how Dan Mora draws them. And
Yeah.
so it's cool to have that person on this book. So every complaint that I had about the plot and the pacing doesn't apply to the art because I want to see Dan Mora get to draw all this cool stuff. I do, however, wish that there was a little bit more punchy action for him to show us, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But overall, this issue is a visual feast.
I think if I'm going to nitpick Dan Mora art, which it feels wrong to do, but I'm going to do it, is that it does sometimes feel like the heroes are posing in a lot of the shots. It's like what do people say? Like, oh, they're aura farming, you know? Like they're just hitting like maybe not they're looks maxing. You know what I'm talking about, right, Cal?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, like they're like hitting a pose that's almost like not in line with what's happening in the actual story. There's a couple
Sure.
panels where it's just like, oh, that looks like almost like a cover. You know what I mean? But in
Yeah,
panel
yeah.
form, it looks damn freaking good. And honestly, I think I prefer Tamara Bonvian's coloring on Dan Mora's work than is it Alejandro Sanchez on Superman?
Yep.
Um, I think Tamara has a more I don't even want to say straightforward. It's just it's flatter in my eyes. The coloring in this,
Yeah.
and I think I just
Yeah.
personally enjoy it more. I think they're both fantastic, but in my eyes, I just prefer this. But it is interesting seeing Dan Mora on two books in the same week, which seems like it happens to be on the same week often, with two different colorists, and I could notice those differences. It's literally reading them back to back.
I had complaints for this, but it's still cool that there's a Justice League book on the stands. It's
Yes.
still better than any Justice League that I've ever read. And so, well, I should say I'm not through the Morrison League yet, so we'll see how I shake out with that. But the Snyder stuff and the gosh, I don't even know whatever the fuck was going on in the late 2000s Justice League. I like this more than that.
You ever read the Priest stuff?
No, I don't think so.
It's only like 5 issues. It was like a placeholder thing. I really enjoyed it though. There's also a great Gavin Guidry cover for this issue of Justice League.
Yeah, that's what's on the screen now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a one
How
out of
did I
25.
whiff?
It's an incentive one. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. That's
But
why.
man, I want Gavin to draw more Wonder Woman. She
See,
just-
I was looking at his Flash, man.
Do you like that new Flash costume?
I like the parts that aren't the wings and the nose piece.
Okay.
That's what really kills it for me. But
You
I
like the
like
black?
the black.
Okay,
I like the
interesting.
black.
So 74% of you were pulls on this one.
That's
14% said pass. Didn't buy or read is only 8%, and nobody chose this as their pick of the week. I think it was a solid, fine issue. But I do believe that this series is suffering from what I consider to be the Wonder Woman problem right now, where it's just not moving forward. Even though this issue was hectic as hell, it didn't really take us to a markedly different place. than where we were at the start, and I think that's kind of where my biggest issue comes into play. But I trust this creative team enough that I don't question that I will go on to like love this series. So
92% pickup rate is probably one of the bigger ones we've seen on one of these polls.
yeah, and that's not a surprise. This is,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, a Justice League book is the land like that's the A book for DC. The same way I used to think an Avengers book is that's the book for a Marvel. So I would imagine everybody's picking this up. Cole says this issue told me we need a Swamp Thing book by Wade and Mora that flips the script on expectations like Wade did on Daredevil. Get DC on the phone.
You want a swashbuckling Swamp Thing book? Hold on, I'm saying those words out loud. Now I want it. Cole, there will be a Swamp Thing book soon enough. That movie's coming through. We're gonna get seeds, pun unintended, but we're gonna get the seeds of them pushing that as a character for sure.
Yeah. Tenant Stats asked, did anyone nominate all new X-Men for the Bendis conversation? How do you nominate? Well, 10, yes, we did receive nominations for Bendis's X-Men stuff. And B, the way you nominate, there are three ways you can nominate. So you can nominate via patreon.com/the comics pals for free, absolutely free. You do not have to be a paid subscriber. You just have to be a free member, and you can type in to the thread, the appropriate thread, your nomination. Alternatively, you can use youtube.com/the comics pals under the post tab. And there's a nomination thread there. And then finally, Discord, for those of you who are Discordians, join our Discord server. In the book club thread on Discord, you can leave your nomination there as well.
Sean, do you prefer his all new or uncanny?
Oh,
Or is that like asking a shit sandwich or a used tampon? Like,
yeah, pretty
interesting.
much. Pretty much.
You're still muted, Cal. Yeah.
Right? Did I?
Oh, or at least you were hitting an
You're
octave that your
there.
mic was not picking up.
I kind of liked both of them.
Hey, Cale. Yeah, me too. Actually, Bacalo and Imminent. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being so hyped that Eminem was on the art and then just feeling so let down, but I would like a reread just to see if like my memory matches how I felt at the time, but also B, like if I have a different opinion.
I got two words for you. Gold balls.
Okay, never mind. Actually,
Yeah. I don't know. That wasn't a selling point. Cole said glad DC is keeping Justice League Unlimited at $3.99. That's a good point. They could easily get away with $4.99 for it. And no one bat an eye because it's their two biggest creators on the biggest book, but they're not doing that to us.
And I like how the chat is like worried about Doctor Occult. This is the most a YouTube chat has talked about Doctor Occult, I think, in the history of YouTube.
brother, this is the most anybody's talked about Doctor Occult.
He got the little spinny guy. I like Doctor Occult. All right, I'm an occultist.
Man,
He got burned alive.
y'all gotta get on my level. I've been a Doctor Occult fan for years.
You know, I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of people who hit the like button. So hit the like button and let me be a fan of yours. Then maybe one day you can send me a comic that's signed by you, like Lucas Halder did, because I love to receive signed things from the listeners. That makes it special. Um, let's get into the next book. This is the book that you all wanted us to read this week because you voted for it in the book club poll. You can vote in the book club poll every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/the comics pals under the community tab. You voted 39% of you voted for Green Lantern. So that is what won the poll this week. Make sure you show up to our channel tomorrow to cast your vote for the books that will be on the docket at that point. Um, Matt Fisher with the 199 says, what about Dr. 13? Who is that?
I'm doing some looking up and not finding much.
What a terrible, 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 terrible.
Oh, the father of Tracy 13. I know Tracy 13, but
Okay, he's basically another occult character.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, very good. By the way, Matt Fisher gives these like random super chats on other channels that I watch as well, primarily the Solomonster Wrestling channel.
They're like
Well,
side quest chats.
yeah, stop doing that and give us more.
Banksy Main says, "Nah, I voted for Red Hulk. Damn DCers." Well, for what it's worth, I read Red Hulk, um, in place of Green Lantern because I thought that's what was winning. But we are here to talk about Green Lantern. This is written by Jeremy Adams with art this week by Jack Herbert with colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr. So this issue is the sad story, the sad tale of what's his name, Erastus the blacksmith.
Great name, by the way.
Very great name, Jeremy Adams, getting into his fantasy bag with that one, and essentially Erastus is going through some shit. The man doesn't have much money. His wife is stepping out on him, and he's essentially being cucked out, just like the Sorrow dude that we saw, that we've been seeing here in this book for some time. His wife ain't really interested in him because he's not bringing the bread home, and so you know what? He gets really pissed about it, and he gets angry and he turns into some kind of a monster. I guess like sort of the Red Lantern type rage, and Hal has to fight him.
We have an epidemic, I think, guys. We have so many comic book characters getting cucked lately.
I was
This is the second one in this run. Jeremy Adams saw Paul, and like for good or for better or for worse, the hype around Paul. He's like, I'm gonna do it twice, same series. That being said, I did like this issue. I like how it really is just like it's like a quick hit. Let me give you the guy's origin and why he's so angry that could justify anger. Literally everything, like TLC wrote Scrubs about this dude. Like this dude is a scrub, the entirety. He has no money. His girl doesn't like him. He's a pushover. And let's make him a Red Lantern. I thought it was cool. And I liked how it resolves not well for him either. Like he literally kills his entire village just because had to sit in the cuck chair for a little bit. Oh, that was interesting. It's Hal having to deal with that and the repercussions of it. Meanwhile, like Green Lantern Corps in that book, they're like, "Oh, let's just make those guys Green Lanterns instead." And Hal's having trouble with this one dude. And then like simultaneously, we have an Indiana Jones Green Lantern happening. They quite literally use the font from the Indiana Jones movie in that part of the book. Yeah, this is one of those just like good fun books. Although a lot of cucking going on in comics, but it is what it is.
I haven't kept up with Green Lantern, so I don't know what the hell all this is. This, yeah, I like it felt weird to see Hal just reacting to this guy. Like it did never feel like Hal was it didn't ever feel like Hal sort of had the upper hand or he ever outthought him or outfought him. And I don't know, it just didn't. I don't know, it didn't work for me. Um and then the the Indiana Jones stuff and Superboy is there. It's cool we're at the source wall. I'm down with that. I
I
don't
didn't
know,
really,
man.
yeah.
That's
I,
it.
I I didn't care so much for the B plot, but I liked the Erastus stuff because that felt like Hal having to be sort of confronted by what he created. So he, in an unintended roundabout way, created sorrow in the first place by getting with Carol again. And that's what turned her ex-boyfriend into this crazy sorrow lantern because the spectrum is out of whack. And so having to face down Erastus is him having to face off with somebody who was created by a very, very similar circumstance, but he turned to rage. So I think Hal has some sympathy for him because A, he didn't choose this, the rage just came upon him, but also B, he contributed to somebody going through a very similar thing.
Yeah, and I like how we are getting to see like now that we have Green Lantern Corps proper as a book, we could kind of focus in more on Hal, and we could focus in on him dealing with like Kyle, Superboy, and Odyssey are just having some fun at the source wall, and Hal is dealing with the repercussions of his actions and getting people killed. It's I like that we got to hone in on that a little bit here.
It feels a bit it feels a bit like the natural order of things. Hal should be dealing with the natural repercussions of his actions.
At all times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a precursor to what we're gonna get later on when him and Sorrow actually do face off. And so I am looking forward to that. Shit's gonna get bad, and I want to see how that's gonna play out. Um, I guess the knock, if I had to knock this book, for me is that it does feel like it's slowed down a lot since, which is fair. The end of the last big epic arc, things are not moving too quickly yet, and that's all right. I know things will pick back up, but I can sort of see why. Like, if you jumped on to Green Lantern a couple of issues ago with All In, this is not the most exciting that this book has been.
It's still in the build up phase, so I think I have faith in Adams' ability to get us there again. But we are back in building up. We're building up that. Oh, geez, it's not Starjammer, Starbreaker, break
Heartbreaker.
Starbreaker. Yeah, like we're still rebuilding that old hat up again. But yeah, it's not it's not that giant ass war with the Galactic Council and all that stuff that it was previous to this.
What'd you guys think of the art?
I thought what jumped out to me in the art was the use of constructs. I thought that the was it Frank Herbert you said
It
Jack.
was Jack Herbert.
Jack Herbert.
Yeah.
I thought he had a lot of fun with the fight sequence between Hal and Erasmus. Like there's this one bit where Hal uses a construct of himself playing soccer just to punt the dude. I thought that was pretty funny. Um, but otherwise, like it didn't like blow my socks off. I thought it was just pretty standardly good DC art with some fun with the constructs. Which, if you're doing a Green Lantern book, you got to have fun with the constructs.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it felt I don't know, it's weird to say appropriately detailed. You know, it's just it felt the serious bits are serious, there's the horror on Hal's face when he comes across the villagers that have been murdered, I think is really appropriately powerful, and then the fun bits are fun, when Kyle puts on his stupid Indiana Jones outfit like that feels weirdly that feels like a an old like 90s Kyle Rayner bit, and the art like makes it feel good.
Which, like, we're
uh
finally getting Kyle Rayner doing Green Lantern stuff. When's the last time that happened?
yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I really like it. And oh man, the silent page where Hal is dealing with the consequences of that fight
Yeah,
is really powerful.
yeah, I like that page a lot. This was a pull. I think Green Lantern stays strong. I am enjoying the ride. I would just like to see things pick up slightly.
Yeah, it's a green flag for me. This is a pull.
think this is gonna be my pass. Be, because I jumped in here and I didn't know what the hell was going on.
It's fair. This would not be the issue to come back to, certainly,
Yeah.
with Green Lantern. Um, the absolute overthinker with the 5 spot, which was needed for this message. Metron actually calls the source wall Source Hub. Apologize for this, guys. At least I put a 5 spot with the bad joke. Listen, jokes get real funny when they come with money.
And also, never apologize for your joke. I never do.
You should, because you don't give us money when you throw those jokes out there.
I just make us money. Come on, Sean.
Oh, I don't know. Cole says, great issue. I like how they're building willpower as the center. They give in to their emotions when they don't have strong willpower, and it breaks the spectrum. Yeah. Yeah. These people can't overcome their negative emotions, and so they become their negative emotions. I really like what Jeremy is laying out here. And it's that story has been seeded and been playing out through this Sorrow character. And now that the spectrum is just out of control, it's a wild west, so to speak.
I'd be curious to see what some of the more positive emotional spectrums can. How does that manifest in this way? Like, it makes sense for a guy to get too angry that the rage lantern starts possessing him, or somebody is too afraid, so they get the fear spectrum gets them. How does it work with hope? How does it work with the indigo lanterns and stuff like that? So I'd be curious to see how if they ever even touch on that stuff, what that looks like.
I gotta figure we'll see something like that.
Like, what is too hopeful that you just become a blue lantern happen?
Yeah, exactly. But Jeremy hasn't, like, we haven't seen it yet, but I feel like you gotta show the other side, right? So let's see what you guys had to say about this issue of Green Lantern. 56% of you said pull, didn't buy, read is 26%, pass is 13, and pick of the week is 4%. So we're still on the Green Lantern train. That's no surprise to me. I think before All In, this seemed to be most people's favorite DC book, this or World's Finest. Now there's a lot more competition for that spot, but Green Lantern is still very good. Yeah, Atomic Hound, you did make it for the stack. We still have one book left to go as far as reviews. But yeah, we're happy to have you. Glad you could make it. Glad you're here. Want to talk turtles? Let's talk some turtles.
Green Lantern to Green Turtles. Let's go.
There you go.
Talking turtles, turtle talking.
TMNT number 7, written by Jason Aaron with art by Juan Ferreira, letters by Sean Lee. The Turtles are back in New York, but not all is well. The brothers are fighting each other as they fight the Foot, and they're losing on all fronts. They can't seem to work things out between themselves. Donatello is still talking to dead rats that he thinks are Splinter, and the Turtles are literally splintered as they go on separate missions. I thought this was fantastic.
This continues to be a surprise for me, a very pleasant surprise. I think it helps that I'm a Donatello head and that he's the voice of reason, even though he is insane in this. But I love that his insanity maybe isn't just insanity. It gets revealed in this. He might be actually be onto something. I enjoyed this a lot. I thought seeing how good Splinter pun there before earlier, Sean, but like how the three other brothers kind of go off their separate ways and try to do things, but it just does not work out for them. And it represents like 3 different aspects of the turtle of New York City that the turtles could even get to. I thought that was great. I thought the weird mystery bit with April and a whole bunch of rats. What is she gonna hang out with Willard? Like that's a good mystery for me to see where that's going. And the Juan Ferreira art is so good. He knows how to draw somebody getting their ass beat so well. There's that double page spread where you're seeing all of the turtle, like it's Raphael, Leonardo, and Mikey fighting in their own separate corners of New York City, and there's like horizontal panels, and then I zoom in on them getting their ass kicked. There's this shot of Raphael just getting socked in the jaw, and his jaw looks dislocated. There's like blood coming out. It is such good Ninja Turtles art that I'm eating this stuff up. I think this is really, really fun, and I continue to like this book.
I'm still not on board here. I didn't bother catching up because I haven't been enjoying it. This issue, I saw what it was trying to do, and getting that splinter, as you guys sort of address the splinter narrative, both the metaphorically and literally. So the three action boys, Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Raph, all go off on their own, and they all get their ass kicked, and then they come back, and Donatello says, "Oh, well, it's because Splinter, you don't believe in him, but he was there with you. Don't worry about it." And then he goes off on his own, but it's all fine. That really bugged me. So I don't know. That's my big nitpick as far as this goes. I like the art. I like the art.
Yeah, there was a question mark there, so I was like, oh, okay.
I like the art.
Oh man.
This book, it's book's not for me, man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I I said earlier Ultimate Spider-Man pick of the week. And I'm not gonna change it, but I want to because I once we kind of got this conversation going, I remembered how much I enjoyed this. Um, this is how I want the Turtles to feel. Like I want it to feel gritty and grimy, and I want there to be some tension between them, and I love the idea that like the city's against them and they're against each other, and they have to find their way back to each other on an emotional level now that they physically are back. There's just so much there, and then when you add the Juan Ferreira art to it, it's just like what the fuck, like. Oh man, he's so stellar. I love the rooftop sequences that we get. Though he's able to draw from that angle so well. And we saw that last issue. We see it again here. I love what he does with these characters, the turtles' bodies. Like they just look really great proportionally. This um double page layout right here was just crazy. The way uh you can just follow the page along from left to right like that. And it goes down. Look at Raph's face there. Amazing detail in the face. Juan Ferrer is a horror artist. Like that's where I first saw him. So, he really will nail those like, these are monsters, essentially. He nails that stuff.
And I like in that double page. That's the one I was mentioning earlier too, Sean. It's colored in their bandanas as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just good stuff. Yeah.
That's sick. Look at that, dude.
And he's doing coloring too, right? There's no colorist listed.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I learned about him from, I think it was either Green Arrow or Killmonger. He was on both of those around the similar time. So his horror stuff is not what I'm used to, but I can see that element here. Like the dude knows how to draw a dead rat. It's gross.
Yeah, and the other thing for me is that the characters sound how I expect. Like I think Jason is honing in on their voices fairly well. Obviously, they're in a circumstance that the majority of people who know about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles wouldn't expect them to be in because uh normally they're like kind of jovial. We're used to seeing them be happy, go lucky, eating pizza and all that jazz. And that's not the vibe of this book at all. But I love it.
No, they have to eat rotten pizza that crazy Donatello had to muster together. And I wasn't sure if it was Rotten Pizza or it was just Newark Pizza because they are in the sewers of Newark too. Like that's the name of the issue, the sewers of Newark. I'm like, oh, that's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
For me, this is an easy and strong pull. I really, really love this. The last two issues of TMNT have been my favorite so far, so hopefully that trajectory stays that way.
This is the most fun I've had with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a comic ever, as a property, maybe since the side scroller games. Like I've not had that much experience with the Ninja Turtles, but I'm really enjoying this book.
It's a pass for me. I'm just glad you guys are having fun.
Did either of you guys ever have the occasion to play? There was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game, and it was on the Sega, it was on the Super Nintendo, but it was a fighting game, and you would fight against each other. And it had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It had April O'Neil for some reason. It had Casey Jones, and then it had like all kinds of monsters that I never ever saw in the show. Like it wasn't any of the characters that you associate with them as villains. Like Krang wasn't in it. I don't even think
Was it
Shredder
the
was in it. It
Triceratons?
might have been.
Was it
He might have.
Tournament Fighters?
Yes, Tournament Fighters.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. I've never
No.
seen this, but like Hothead is a guy, is in this.
And I don't think any of those are traditional TMNT characters. I don't know where they came up with them from. But I always like I liked that game for the gameplay, but I hated it because I was always like, wait a second, this is not how the TMNT are. Why are they dark? Like, why is this such a dark game? And it turns out I was the asshole as a child. I didn't know any better. I thought they were just cuddly kids characters. I didn't realize that they would fucking kill each other if they got a chance.
These are all actual characters. I'm looking at like who the characters are in this game. Like Wingnut was in it, the bat.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, one of them's War. It's a purple creature with big claws that was from the Archie comics.
Huh.
There was
Holy
a mutant
shit.
shark.
Wow. I thought they were fake.
I mean, they're real. These aren't implants and memories. They're not tulpas.
Wow. That's insane, dude. I can't believe that. Atomic Hound says, "Dang, you're really gonna make me buy this trade, aren't you?" Well, um, are you inclined to like enjoy the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Because I think if you are, there might be something here for you. The first arc, issues 1 through 5, another series, by the way, doing its first arc. Well, I guess no, this one starts with 6, or rather, this one starts with 7. But yeah, I think there's stuff to get out of it for sure. But you could also just start with issue 6 if you wanted to. Roger Hernandez says, "I love the TMNT, and this book gives me the same amount of joy watching the cartoons as a kid. Absolutely love this series."
Hmm. Michael Nadeau says, funny enough, this made me want to go back and play Shredder's Revenge. That's basically where my knowledge of TMNT came from before this.
That's the new one, right? That's the TMNT game that came out what
I think
last
so.
year, a
Yeah,
couple
it's
years back.
the new side scroller.
Yeah, that game is fire.
Yeah, isn't Usagi Yojimbo in
Oh,
that now too?
sorry?
Didn't they add like Usagi Yojimbo DLC to that? Yeah.
They sure did. Yep, he is
Whoa.
playable. Casey, April, and Usagi Yojimbo are all playable. If you guys have ever played like the old arcade
Oh yeah.
TMNT game, man,
Yeah.
this will scratch that itch for sure.
Yeah.
That is
Turtles
up
in
there
Time is
with
one
like
of my favorite games.
yeah. It was Turtles in Time, The Simpsons, and X-Men. Best side scrollers.
Yeah.
I I was my favorite side scroller for all those was Bucky O'Hare. And it's a game that I thought I dreamt up
I know about Bucky
because
O'Hare. Yeah.
yo, oh my God, I love that game. It's so fun. But yes, to all the other ones you mentioned as well. Those are all great. And the other great one that nobody ever talks about is the Spider-Man game. It's got Spider-Man. You can who else can you play as? Black Cat. Is Nick Fury? No, Nick Fury's in the Punisher game, but it's Spider-Man, Black Cat, and Hawkeye is in it too, and somebody else. And Venom, for some reason, in that game, can grow to the size of a building.
You know, Bucky O'Hare was a comic, right, Sean?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. It was created by Larry Hanma,
Yeah.
and I learned that fact when I did the history of the DC Comics explosion deep dive. That fact was what propelled me to want to do the deep dive
Yeah.
because I was casually looking into it and I don't know shit about Larry Hanma other than G.I. Joe. So when I saw that one of the canceled comics cavalcade books was Bucky O'Hare and he would have gone on to create that character for DC, I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. There's so much stuff I don't know.
And I think
Anyway,
that also inspired Jackson, the green rabbit that's in the Star Wars comics for Marvel, and then also Black Jack O'Hare further on, who's like an actual Marvel character proper.
that makes sense.
I know way too much about space rabbits.
They're cool as shit.
They really are.
Lieutenant Dan shouts out Streets of Rage 2 and Maximum Carnage. Maximum Carnage, I feel like if you can beat that game, if you can beat
Yeah.
Maximum Carnage, your name belongs in a Hall of Fame. I want to meet some more people who have beaten this game because I've beaten it once or twice, but 9 times out of 10, that game whoops my ass.
Never got to play it.
You got to get a retro. You got to get like a retro an emulator.
I got one, dog. I've got
Oh, okay.
several. I never got around to it.
Oh, okay.
Load up that
Uh,
ROM that you got completely by legal means. Right, chat?
Listen, the game's ancient. Like, where would I get it?
Fair. The Simpsons one, Catherine says was so good. Yeah, my family used to
Yeah.
drop money
Yeah.
on that and X-Men. Big time.
Yeah, X-Men's, man, that one's tremendous.
Hell yeah. Matt Fisher, 199. AM the arcade game. Amazing. I'm assuming Amazing Spider-Man. The arcade game had Submariner. Yes, he was the other playable character there. And then he drops another 199
Why?
and says Fury was in Punisher. Yes, he was.
Why is Submariner the only other playable What?
No, it's Spider-Man, Black Cat, Submariner, and Hawkeye for some reason.
That okay, sure.
Very bizarre.
Yeah,
I
for
don't, I
real.
don't, I don't
It's weird that Hawkeye is the odd man out.
know. Oh, Venomark says Maximum Carnage. I loved looking at it as a kid, but as an adult, I can't get past the doppelganger and shriek fight. They wreck my shit every time. If you're talking about the one in the church, you need to strafe around uh um doppelganger, let him jump at you, and then every time he jumps at you, beat the shit out of Shriek. And then when she blasts you, beat the shit out of doppelganger. It's not an easy fight, but you don't have to kill them because after you get them like half down or a little bit more than half down, Carnage comes out and hits you anyway.
That was the one on the red cartridge, right?
Yeah, the red
Yeah.
tape.
Yeah.
Yes. Love that. Love that. Oh man, I could talk about these old games with you guys all night long. Lieutenant Dan has no legs says Avengers side scroller was also fun. The Avengers. That game had. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say we should do something with this for a hangout or a palling around or
So
I
like
would love to.
ranking the
Here.
best comic book
Yeah.
video games.
well, I mean, playing them.
The Avengers game had Cap, Iron Man, White Vision,
Yeah,
and Hawkeye was in that as well.
that one I played recently. I found a Super Nintendo when I lived in Brooklyn. Found a Super Nintendo for $10 on the side of the road.
Oh shit.
Jess and I went out to brunch one day, and it was just there, and I said, I have to buy this. I have to buy this right now. and it had Power Rangers, Avengers, Mario, and something else.
For $10?
$10.
That's
Steal.
insane. Did you
Yeah.
play the Power Rangers game?
The Power Rangers one I did. I beat. I think I beat the Avengers.
Was the Power Rangers one the movie one?
No,
The TV
I
show
don't
one,
think
okay.
so. Yeah. Yeah.
The movie game is fire. Oh, I love that game.
Mm.
One of my dreams though is to get the X-Men arcade game with all the joysticks on it, like the big
Yeah.
Yeah.
cabinet with like the I think it's like 3 monitors in there.
That'd be a fortune.
Oh,
One day I'm gonna
play as
own a
Dazzler
fucking
constantly.
dude, and with how people like alter these games now, I've seen versions of that game that has like Emma Frost in it, Jean Grey,
Oh, I didn't know that.
different different
Oh,
villains. Like they take the game and then they add all kinds of
oh, you
shit
got to
to
Yeah.
link
it.
me to that. I want to play that right now.
Dude, I haven't played it myself, but I was watching it. It looks fun as shit. And for those of you who are into fighting games, look up Mugen because Mugen allows you to
I know
create
that.
a fighting game from scratch. And yo, I saw a game that had Ken, Mega Man, Homer
Yeah, Peter
Simpson,
Griffin. Yeah.
Peter Griffin. Yeah, it's always Peter Griffin. Why is he always in those games? Oh man. All right. We can pull that aside. Sorry for the random side
This
rants.
will be something. We should work on something for this.
Yeah. Yes, there are so many great old school video games. Even if you limited it to superhero games, I think there are a lot of forgotten gems. A lot of forgotten
We
gems.
can do an Ultimate Alliance playthrough.
When and where,
I got to
bro?
figure out if
When
there's a way
and
to play it
where?
online. Actually, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Well, the Ultimate Alliance for Switch has online capability.
Oh, the newer one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Black Order.
and I
Yeah.
have that one actually.
Me
Good
too.
point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do something like that. Who knows? Venomark says Sean hitting me with the nostalgia. Mugen was my shit back then. Yeah, dude. I never messed with it because I just didn't, but I love watching it. It's cool as hell. Yeah, Ultimate Alliance love in the chat. Yeah, those were great games. X-Men Legends, Ultimate Alliance. I loved all that shit, man. And I was lucky enough to have two brothers, so I never I never had to worry about being alone to play those games. Like we all did
Yeah.
it together.
You sometimes you wanted to be, but
Yes.
you know,
Yes. Especially when they were sucking dick. We're trying to beat Apocalypse at the end, and these kids, they're just not getting it done. And I'm like, hello? Hello? God, man. She used to get on my nerves. Matt
hey,
Fisher with the. Go ahead.
he wants to know, guys, why did Seth Rollins look like Carmen Sandiego?
Because Seth Rollins got that shit on weekly.
Dude, I am so over the Seth Rollins. He looked like Jada Pinkett Smith in The Matrix 2. That's who he
Good.
looked like.
There's actually a I'm kind of bummed that I'm not there, but South by Southwest is happening in a week or two, and there is a panel discussion there about fashion and pro wrestling in the kind of joint between the two. Mikaze, one of the more popular designers who makes costumes, is there, and then Becky and Seth's personal fashion designer is going to be there as well to talk about it.
Makazi's gonna go? Oh my god.
Isn't that Sasha Banks' ex?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's sorrow in real life.
Mercedes Monet. Yeah.
That dude is in pain that he lost his girl. He had a girl. This dude, he looks like he doesn't look like $1,000,000. All right,
Jesus Christ.
and and he's a nerd and everything else, and and he manages to get with Sasha Banks, and he fumbled it. He fumbled it. I know he hurt. I know it. And she's such a nerd. She loves Sailor Moon and all that.
And I
Poor
love
guy.
that she loves Sailor Moon. Thank you, WrestleMania moment.
Hell yeah. Matt Fisher with the 199 says Peter Griffin is in the game because of Giant Chicken.
That makes sense to me.
I don't understand that.
The meme of it, you know when
Yeah.
they need to kill 15 minutes in a 10-minute episode, they just have Peter Griffin come across the chicken and they fight.
Yeah. They're both in Fortnite too. It's great.
You don't know
What
about
the
that?
hell? No.
Yeah, it's just,
No.
yeah, it's just, it's their way of killing time.
Wow. Okay. I can't even believe that show's still on. Um, Banksy Man says, okay, I lost me with the wrestling talk. Haven't watched since the Attitude Era days. Okay, we're sorry. We'll move on from the wrestling talk. Although wrestling is very good, and you should get back into it, Banksy Man. We've got the stack to do. We've got the stack to do, and then we'll let you guys out of here. Make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget, we're going to be live tomorrow. Tyler and I will be on the Near Mint Condition channel for their evergreen stream. That should be a lot of fun. Get your numbers in the chat now. Get them in the chat now. For the stack, you guys know we do this every single week because I buy a lot of comics just every week. And I will say this week was a surprise to me. I won't say why, but
Well,
I
because you got the wrong book.
listen. That is very liable to happen. There was a celebrity at Midtown Comics today, at my LCS. Who cares? Whatever.
Yeah, come on.
There was a celebrity there today, and I didn't immediately recognize him. I thought it was funky because there was an older gentleman who I don't ever see at Midtown, but he was behind the counter area, and then another person that was with him, but that person wasn't buying anything, and they were very sequestered. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. And then, as I'm being rung up, the older gentleman who's behind the counter goes, "Does anybody want to say hi to David Mack?"
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
David Mack is the most just a guy looking guy ever.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him. I mean, I didn't notice him. And so once they said, "Oh, it's David Mack," I'm already getting rung up, so my shot is blown. But the line behind me, they all turned over, and he was talking to everybody about how he's got a new creator own book coming out and stuff like that, and he was there to sign copies. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at their Instagram. Apparently just like a spur of the moment surprise little signing. That's cool.
Yeah. And Anthony Mackie was there
Last week.
last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. You never know who you might see.
Well, New York. I mean,
Just concrete
Exactly.
jungle, wet dream tomato, you know?
Shit, I might be there. You never know.
in New York? Ah, I can't see that.
Likely place.
Your
Oh
country
my
boy in your
goodness.
heart.
You have no idea how much that isn't true. I
Yeah, I do.
am so afraid of going to the country because of death. I don't want to die. And so I have a skin condition called blackness that makes me feel as though my life is more at risk the further down or towards the middle of the United States that I venture. And so I'm very careful about where I'm willing to go. Very, very careful. Uh, all right. Let's see. What are these numbers looking like? Tyler, you want to take, or Cale, excuse me, you want to take it away?
Yeah, we got it. All right, let's see. So first we've got near. So near with the first one. He's got 17 for the stack. Rami Darwish coming in at 18. Carter Mitchell has 13. James Jones, perennial winner, says 17. Gonna battle near. Noodle Meat 1490. Oh, they dropped off after Mania 25, if you're curious. They don't have an answer. We'll say 25. Michael Nadeau says 20. Hayden's Hideout says 14. Venomark says 17. Cosmo says 23. Carlos says 16. Oh, Noodle Meat 1490 says 21. Jasper Eddy says 21. Atomic Hound says 22. Cole says 11. Lieutenant Dan has no legs. Has 17. Marowak Iskiro says 15. Mike Hank says 17. Catherine says 16. Jonathan Chow says 12. And World at War Comics says 17.
Shout out to World at War Comics, by the way. Very good YouTube channel. Gets a lot of good creator interviews. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everybody for being here. You all are amazing. Showing up a day early. Some of you haven't even had the chance to read your comics. Thank you so much for hanging out with us all night long. If you haven't gotten to it, make sure you hit the like button. We did have one more come in, Roger Hernandez with the 18. Thank you. Atomic Hound says, Sean, you need to visit the kennel someday. I would love that, actually. Go ahead, Tyler.
Too far west.
No, I just thought like that sounds a little kinky.
Whoa! First of all,
Come on.
I know. I
although
didn't realize who it was from, and I realized, well, you know,
Not that it wouldn't be an honor, just
I would never cross Mrs. Hound because something tells me that that woman, she will get her lick back, so to speak. She will get her revenge. So I would never want to cross the boss. All right. We've got the 6 that we talked about on the show.
the 7 that you accidentally showed.
Red Hulk, number 1.
okay, yeah.
Fantastic Four, number 29. Batman, The Long Halloween,
You went
5
for
of
it.
10.
Nice.
I went for the book, but I didn't get the Rob Liefeld variant. I wanted to.
It looks like he might have gotten all of them himself. If his Twitter is anything to be alluded to, but
They had many copies. I wish. Well, no, I don't actually wish I'd got one. I'm fine with what I got. I got to get out of that mentality of like, oh, I wish I had gotten this. No.
FOMO.
I didn't need to spend the extra $5.99 or whatever the hell it is. Detective Comics 1094. Hope this isn't a reprint.
You're good. That's it.
Thank goodness. Metamorpho number 3.
That's a reprint. I'm
This-
joking.
no, okay. Because I'm like that was on the poll. Jeez. Department of Truth, rather, number 28. I can't wait to read this issue. Oof, that's gonna be good. Hornsby and Halo, number 4. I don't know how this ended up in my stack, but
Sounds
Monstrous, number 55.
like, Sean, come on.
I don't remember. I couldn't remember if I actually cut it. I couldn't remember.
If you buy the next issue, I'm making sure that you need to start reading it. You need to catch up.
I can't. We have too many book clubs. We have too many things. I can't catch up with Monstrous.
You on vacation.
You got a flight coming up, right?
Yeah. But I got this.
It's not a long flight, but you got a flight coming.
Dust. Yeah, for 2 hours, I'm just gonna read this.
Is that a book with no pictures?
Yes, I happen to love the novel from time
The
to time.
fuck you doing, Sean?
One novel.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Cole says, "Is Red Hulk good?" No, I'm glad that was not actually on the docket today because it was not good. Knights number 13. I picked this up because it just got optioned for a TV show, and we talked about it on Pal's preview. So I said, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Haven't read it though.
So you're adding to the pull list. Cool.
Don't judge me, damn it.
I'm not. I'm
With
just stating
stuff
a fact.
he isn't reading.
Yeah.
Speaking of adding to the pull list, I did it. I know some of you will be very interested in this. Radiant Black number 31. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to try.
Okay.
Try.
Okay. It's a new jumping on point, right? Allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly, supposedly.
All right.
As far as I was concerned, every issue after 6 was a jumping off point. So we'll see how I feel about this. But I don't want to talk too negatively about Radiant Black because when we did that, when we did those reviews, people were coming for our asses.
Yeah.
That shit was bad.
I remember that. I wasn't even on the show, and I remember that. People were, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have been one of them.
Probably.
Yeah.
The season's number 2. I can't quit on Rick so early, so I got to give this second issue a shot.
Cale, you should check out issue 1. I think you'd actually really enjoy that.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a
West-
review copy.
Image?
Yep, we got copies.
It is, yeah. Giant generator. Yep. West Coast Avengers number 4. I went with this variant because I love these. I love this Silver Centurion Iron Man costume. It's a shit. And I also picked up The New Gods, number 3. For those of you who listened last week, I got number 2 instead. So I had to make that right. And I got number 3.
For anyone interested, I also picked up my copies of 2 and 3, and the official collection has begun.
I'm excited to see
Good.
that come to fruition fully.
Good. So that's 19.
I got 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did nobody guess 19?
I don't think anyone guessed 19. It's such an odd number. I don't remember seeing it.
Nobody guessed 19 this week.
So we got to go 18 then for closest, right?
Yeah.
Which is Rami.
Rami Darwish.
Rami Darwish and Roger Hernandez coming in at the tail end of that. He also got it right. So congratulations, Rami. If you want any of the codes to any of these Marvel books, feel free to hit me up for them. And also, Roger, you can too. If you guys message me on Discord, I will hook you up. Happy to, as always. Tom McCown, I got the Big Barda variant. I had to.
Lieutenant Dan, I think that one came in a little too late. Sorry.
Trying to cheat? What are you, lagging?
Apparently I am.
Uh-oh. Well, if Cale's lagging, that's a sign for us to get out of here. So we will do just that. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a pleasure. This is the last time we will see you until Saturday on this channel. Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern on this channel. We will be live talking about all of the runoff announcements from Comics Pro that we were unable to get to. Donnie Cates is back. We didn't talk about that last week. There's TV and movie news from DC, so there is a lot to talk about. If you thought last week's show was jam-packed, tune in this Saturday to hear what we have to say about everything else going on. In addition, Tyler and I will be live on Near Mint Conditions channel tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern for their Evergreen Daredevil Stories chat. That should be fun.
Yeah. Excited for tomorrow's show. Should be fun not to have to host a show again. Or at least like deal with the background stuff. Just get to sit down and relax.
And talk shit.
One of my picks might be shit on constantly tomorrow. I made sure to add one that would be a little controversial, so that'll be fun.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I don't know. You know mine. I don't know yours, Sean.
You know mine. You should.
I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what
you
it
know
is.
mine.
I almost added it to mine, but I figured you would handle that one.
Mike Hank asked thoughts on Old Reader, New Reader. I enjoyed it a lot. Wonder Maddie is fantastic, and I thought we had a great rapport. So you should go check that out. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you Saturday, and I'll see some of you tomorrow on Near Mint Conditions channel. Until then, take care, guys.
See